Hey guys, so in previous two videos, we saw how to patch VRLCM, which is the Lifecycle Manager, and VMware Identity Manager. Now let's look into patching of vRealize Automation and Orchestrator appliance. So again, let's go back to the main article which VMware has published for this particular vulnerability. Now let's check for vRealize Automation, and yes, it is one of the impacted product. Now, the version what I'm running is, let's see here, 8.2. So is 8.2 impacted? Okay, they have mentioned 8.x, and there is no patch, so we have to follow the workaround. So the workaround KB, I've just opened in the next tab. So seems like the version 8.0 to 8.6.1 is impacted, which means my product version is also impacted. Now, the permanent fix is expected in 8.6.2. Okay, so let's see what's the workaround we have to do. So there is some notes before we perform upgrade. If the version is this, which is no longer supported, it is recommended to upgrade to the supported version. Of course, to get support from VMware, we have to be in the supported version. My version is 8.2, which is still in support, so it's okay. And there was a previous patch which was released on 20th of December. If we have applied that, we still have to apply the patches which has been updated now. And the changes is persistent over upgrades, which means now if you apply this patch, if you upgrade the product, it will be still intact. So there's no need to apply the patch again. And if you're running a clustered VRO, then you will get a warning message, which can be safely ignored. Now, the workaround can also be considered as a permanent solution because the main purpose of this workaround is Log4j library is being upgraded to version 2.717. So the future release will also include this particular version, which is having a full fix. Okay, now let's see. First thing is take a snapshot. So let's go back to our environment. This is my VRA with an embedded VRO. It's a simple single node deployment. I'll go ahead and take a snapshot before Log4j patching. And then I click OK. So I'm taking snapshot without memory. And please note that if you have a cluster environment, you have to take simultaneous snapshot, which means do not delay, just keep taking snapshot in a matter of few seconds max. Now upload these two files under root on all the nodes. So in my case, it's only one node. First, let me download this file, one here and then one here. So let me download both the files and then copy to vRealize appliance, the automation appliance root directory. So the first file is getting downloaded and the second one is also started. So let's wait. Meanwhile, let me start a WinSCP connection to my VRA appliance. So it is always good to make sure you do not have any active deployments going on. Cannot initialize the CVE who's just running. Okay, let's see. Let me just fix that. 1 minute. All right, so I fixed that issue. The reason why I was not able to log into WinSCP to VRA appliance is because my root password has expired. So I had to reset the root password or change the root password. So now it will allow me to connect to the appliance. There you go. Okay. So the patch is still being downloaded. It's a small file, but then I'm doing it over a VPN session. So maybe it's taking a while. We are almost there, just another 7 KB to get downloaded. So let's give it a time. Once it's downloaded, we will move the file to /root directory. I think I'm already in /root. As per the KB, what it says, upload these two files under root. Okay, so we are in root, and I will, yeah, the files are downloaded. I'll just move it to the root directory. All right, so the file is copied. Now let me take an SSH session to my VRA appliance. So to that, login as root and then the password. All right. So the second step is validate whether the system is vulnerable by running this command. So let me copy this command and then not sure it will paste once for all. Okay, yeah, it's working. It's scanning blueprint. So basically this will share an output to check if our vRealize automation appliance is affected or impacted. So validate whether this error reports related to log4j will show up for the affected artifacts that the vulnerable. Let's see. Okay, found this one. Okay, we do have this log4j, which is version 2.12, which is affected, and it is further scanning on other things. So let's give it some more time. And then once this is completed, which means we are pretty sure that the vRealize automation appliance 8.2 is impacted. You can see there is one more which we found. There are a few artifacts which are affected. Let the scan complete. Then once it's done, I need to run this command. Okay, the system is vulnerable. Install the KB. So basically this KB will go ahead and install the patches which we copied over to the appliance. All right, so there are quite a few. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now it's scanning the JDK. Let's see. So whichever component is using this log4j, which is the open source from Apache, right? Those should be impacted unless and until it's version 2.16 or 2.17. Not wrong. There's one more which it found now. There's one more. Oh, there's quite a few components in vRealize automation which uses log4j. Okay. I'll just give it some more time. All right, so these are not using log4j, so which is good. Okay, now we have gone into the VCO, the orchestration. So it's scanning that. And this KV article is applicable for both a standalone, version of it or the cluster. So we have to do it if there's a cluster, do it on all the nodes. So you can see here for each of VRA and VRO deployments with version starting from 8.1 to 8.6.1, execute the following procedure. So in my case, it's a simple lab. So I just have one node, right? So if I apply the patch for one node, it should be good enough. Now let's see. Yeah, it's still scanning the data of PCU. We'll just give it a few more minutes. Maybe I'll just pause the recording so that the video is short. All right, so it just took another 30 seconds or something to scan through, and we kind of see that everywhere we find, there is an error, which means we have to do a patching for sure. Now, the next thing is if the system is vulnerable, which is yes, install this. So let me go ahead and copy this. Just clear the screen and run it. So file not found. Let's see. Okay, let me just check the checksum if the file is correctly downloaded or not. Just give me a while. Right, guys. So pretty strange. The first file, the V2 version, for some reason, it was not letting me download from this KB article. So it took a while, but then I've downloaded it now. So let's go back here. Right. So we have the file. Let's go and run this command to apply. Yeah, this is the command. So let's see if it works this time. Yes. So it's working this time. Right. So basically it is simple. First, we run this to validate and it flags us whichever component or artifacts use log4j. Then second one, to fix, we run this command. And we have to make the installation effective. So we have to run this op scripts deploy.sh, which is basically in a cluster environment. It is run on the primary node. So to identify which is a primary node, you need to see where exactly you see this deploy.log file exist. So in my case, it's single node. So once the third step is done, the fourth step, I would just run this on the same appliance. So the patch is being applied, and then this might take a while. So let me pause the video. All right. So it easily took around 15 minutes, I would say, to show the status that patch applied successfully. Now let's go ahead and check what's next. Okay, so we have to run this, as I said previously, on the primary node. In my case, I just have one node, so I'm just running on it. So basically, to identify which is your primary node, you just need to scan for this log file. So that exists in the primary node. Now, once that's done, the last step would be to validate the patching. So let me wait for this to complete. So this one has to be run only once, even in a cluster setup. So keep a note of that. Now, previously, VMware released a couple of patches for Log4j for VRA, VRO on 13th and 14th. But even if you have applied those, make sure you rerun this steps, which is outlined here. Right, let's give it a few more minutes. All right, so after the step number, let's see which one we were doing. Okay, after the step number 4, you should see this message. And this again takes around 15 minutes. So VRA patching is not that easy. Make sure you inform the end users and buy the required downtime of the portal and make sure there's no deployment or any automation happening. Easily, it takes around 35 to 40 minutes to just run through these steps. And if everything goes good, that's the time. If not, to be safer side, you can easily take around 1 hour to 1 hour 30 minutes of maintenance window to do this patching. All right, so the patching is done and my portal looks good. I'm able to see the things. Now, the last step is to verify if the patching is completed. So if you remember in the initial stage where it was scanning, it was flagging out few artifacts which were using the affected version of log4j library. But then right now it's scanning through and we do not see any errors so far. Everything looks good. So let's give it a few more minutes to finish. So right now it's going through the code screen portion of it. Let's see. Okay, so far good. And I did see and note that you won't be able to upgrade if this particular patch is not done. So this is mandatory. The workaround described as a permanent solution as they update the library. The future release will be using this. So it is mandatory to upgrade or do the patching of VRE. Right. So far there is none flagged, which means the patch is successful. Once this done, we should be good. Let's give it like a few more seconds. All right, guys. Finally, we are done, and the scanning has completed, and there is no reported issue, which means all the library has been updated to the latest one, and we can consider vRealize automation patch to be successful. Thank you for watching. In the next video, we would be seeing how to patch VROPS and followed by the login site. Thank you.